everyone, you love the music, now be a part of the movement. Press Play is building a home for artists and fans just like you, and now you can help shape it. All you gotta do is go to pressplay.me and grab you some merch and wear it really loud and really proud, and of course buy it for everybody you know. And know that you're helping musicians and music stay real, independent, and alive. And here's something really special. You can send a personal message to the artist of your choice. If we've done an interview with them, you have an opportunity to write them a note. You can write them a small message, or you can write them a whole letter, and it will go directly to them. Just click the link on any of our interviews, write from the heart, and let your voice be heard. So tune in, rock with us, and press play. Get the gear, send the love. Music lives when the fans do.
Hey everybody, welcome to Press Play Conversations. I am the Don, as always, the host, with the great Dean Baldwin, who you can hear on SiriusXM, 3 channels. You can catch him, and you'll hear his voice, and you'll go, oh, that's Dean. I was just talking to him. And Tina Hauser, who CEO of Press Play and Songmates, and she's here, and we're here with the great Mark Kendall of, famously known from the band Great White. How are you, Mark?
Doing good. Glad to be here on your show. I think this is the first time I've done it. So,
well, I'm so happy you're here with us. Thinking back to, going back to the beginnings, right, of everything, you really began back in, as far as starting this whole, what led to the band back in 77, right?
1977.
It's actually 78. They made a mistake on that. It was 78, but close enough.
It was 78. Close enough, right? So when you think back to that, what was at the beginnings of your career, like getting into music, what was your goal? Yeah. Like what would you try? What was your first definition of success that you wanted when you started?
When I was about 17, I was kind of juggling baseball, pool, and guitar kind of won out. And I was playing when I moved to Huntington Beach. I was playing at 15. I was good enough. I was playing with drummers and bass players and stuff, but it was hard to find a singer. So I kind of moved out, and that's when I went full-time music, joined a band, and got a band together. And we mostly played cover songs. We had a couple, maybe 5 originals total. And then Jack Russell, I heard about him because I was kind of burned out on my singer. He was like 28. I was 20. Yeah, 28's like a kid now, but I was only 20 years old. And I heard about this. Yeah. A friend of mine told me he heard this singer actually in a backyard. And he goes, I've never heard a voice this good. He's only 16, but when he sings, he doesn't sound 16, right? And he can sing anything. I go, give me his number. So I called him with Jack Russell, and I called him, and he answered the phone, and he told me he had the flu. And I kept calling him for like 2 weeks. And I just gave up on it. I go, well, call me when you're not sick, dude, or whatever. So I finally, he called me, and he came and auditioned for my band. And like I said, I was real burnt on the singer. That's the reason I wanted to check him out. And after we played a couple songs, he sang it perfect. We did like a Foreigner song, something else. Now we went into his bedroom, took a break. He goes, Mark, he goes, I want to do all originals. He goes, I've already been in cover bands. I'm not into it. And I go, well, I'm with you there, And he goes, so if you get rid of that fat guy and the guy with the mustache, I'll join your band. I go, that only leaves me, dude. He goes, that's what I mean. Let's make our own band. And I go, you know what? I'm totally into it. I'm over this. I've been doing this 3 years. It's going nowhere really. And so, we got together and got a bass player, a drummer, and started playing around. But then he got in trouble like after 4 months. I was painting AM PM signs, and I walked by this liquor store. I used to go there before I went to do that, day job. I saw they used to have newspaper stands, you pay a quarter, pull up this deal. Right on the cover of the Tribune, it said, Jack Russell, Whittier Wright, because he lived in Whittier, it's live-in made.
Oh,
and I'm going, it can't be the same guy. Can't be, right? And so I called his mom, called his house, and I said, hey, please tell me it's not the same Jack Russell that got in this trouble. And she goes, yep, he went and did it this time. And I'm like, what? My singer shoots people. This is nuts. This is crazy. Then
He's a joke scene. It's fine.
a couple of follow-up articles were saying he's going to go to prison for 8 years. So I'm, all I'm thinking is like, okay, new singer time. And, but anyways, when he went, then they reduced it to 4 years. And then when he went in there, they automatically went down to 2 years. And he ended up, I think, getting out in 11 months. So I had a chick singer first for about 6 months. And we were playing around. At first, I had to start from scratch. I made a whole new band, except for the drummer. The drummer was the one we were jamming with. But I got this bass player called Don Costa. And
he's an Aussie,
San Diego. Right? Well, yeah. After he quit our band, much later, a couple of years after that, I got him a gig in Aussie through George Lynch. So
that's awesome.
But anyways, going back, we got this girl singer, and actually George Lynch stole her out of my band. He was in a band called Exciter. And the funny thing is, we played with him and Night Ranger a few years ago. He apologized for it, like 35 years later.
Wow, that's a long
here's
apology.
what he said. Here's what he said. He goes, hey man, sorry I stole your singer all those years ago. He goes, but you got the best end of that deal. So I guess it didn't even work out. And anyway, so we got another singer. And then when Jack got out, he came and auditioned, and he goes, I don't care who you got. I'll blow him away. And I'm going, not like you did the Maid, right? So anyways, anyway, so
that's great.
He comes in, sings perfect, we knew he was the guy. And his first gig was at the Troubadour, and he was real nervous. You can imagine, he's been incarcerated for all that time, comes right out and he's singing in front of a big crowd. So that was kind of tough at first, but after a couple of shows, he was getting good and learning all our original. We had all originals. We played, I think, a couple cover songs. Costa was real into heavy stuff, so we played like Judas Priest and I think a couple Scorpion songs, but everything else were original.
So
that's the way things got rolling for me.
Go ahead, Dean.
20 years old.
Was that around 78?
That would have been that was about 1980.
Okay, the reason I bring that up,
real early 80s, like early January, I think.
Because Pete Townsend has talked about that period of time in punk, the influence of punk. We've talked to Rudy Sarzo a number of times, and Rudy talks about especially the LA area around the early 80s and punk and new wave pretty much owning everything, and how that impacted rock bands at the time. So I was kind of curious about your take as well. Was that correct? It was really more of a punk scene still then?
Yeah, it was a real healthy music scene. It took us a few months to get into Hollywood. We knew we had to go there because that's where all the labels were. And it was pretty healthy. After a couple of years, 1982, there was somebody that could help us in the crowd. In our man came back and gave us his card. The next day, Chick and I, Jimmy rigged his Baja Bug and went down there. And the first thing he said was, what are you going to do about your drummer? I guess he didn't like our drummer. And we go, oh man, he's our brother, he'll be fine and all this. He goes, okay, but just remember this, you're stuck with them forever. I go, yeah, it'll be fine. And anyway, so then he hated our name. He goes, this Dante Fox, that's what we're called. And it wasn't like we thought it was a great name. We just abandoned trying to think of names. Costa came up with the name. I go, that's it. I'm done thinking of names. It's Dante Fox. That's the name of our band. So it's just torture trying to think of a band name, man. Worst thing ever. But so this guy that was in the crowd was a guy called Alan Niven. And I guess he introduced Don Dokken to his managers who managed Def Leppard and AC/DC. It was Cliff Bernstein and Peter Minch, real big management company. So he kind of owed Niven a favor. And Niven was he was with Enigma, which was a small label that signed Motley Crue and a band called Berlin that was kind of a new age band. And he said, I'm really looking for a rock band. He asked Don, who's one of the better bands around? And he mentioned us because he really liked Jack. And I knew Don real well. He came and saw us and didn't like it. And Don said that he was missing it. He goes, you're missing it. Let me go with you. And we were playing the Whiskey. And as fate would have it, on the encore, we played No Doctor by Humble Pie, and that's what sold them. He goes, he could see that he can make this work. And I don't know what would happen if we hadn't played that song. It's just like, weird stuff happens. And he could just understand that he pictured it, how it could be. So we went and made an EP, flew out Michael Wagner from Germany, and we did this 5-song EP. And Niven was a great businessman. He knew a lot of people in the industry. He knew how to move and shake and do all that. Got us on the radio, the biggest station in Los Angeles, with a song called On Your Knees. And so when that happened, we thought it was just going to be played once, but they were playing it 6 times a day in heavy rotation with people like Queen and Tom Petty. And we didn't even have a proper record deal. We just had a distribution deal. So that got the attention of major labels. We signed with EMI America, and it just became a whirlwind after that. We went on tour with Whitesnake in the UK, played all over for about 2 or 3 months. And
Don co-wrote On Your Knees, didn't he, with you?
Yeah. What happened was we had all the music and lyrics and everything, but the lyrics were a bit on the cheesy side. He kind of helped with that. Niven helped with that. We were in development, you know what I mean? We were kids. These were our first songs. So we hadn't come into our own yet, We didn't know what we were doing.
Don
was a real good songwriter. Enigma.
Before you signed with the label?
Before it was an independent label, but Niven's business partners were more into the stuff like Berlin, more of a new age, not rock, but Niven believed in us. So he goes, okay, I'll take this on myself. And he goes, I just want to ask one thing. I want these guys to be distributed from our distribution company called Green World. So what they would do is sign a band like Motley Crue or whoever and sell them off to major labels. And that's kind of what happened to us, would have happened, but we had only the distribution. So getting that airplay is what got the attention of major labels. So for 2 weeks, we went around to every label in town. They were all bidding on us. And the reason for choosing EMI America was because they only had Queensryche and a couple other bands. So we thought we'd get their full attention. And our first tour was with Whitesnake in Europe and in the UK. And then we got the Judas Priest tour and got home, and these guys dropped us off the label because we didn't sell enough records. They didn't do the artist development thing like that was going on back then. If your band sells 150,000, they got to get it up to 300, maybe bring a songwriter in and do all that. Well, they didn't do that with us. They just said, bye now. So we went all through 1985 with no deal. And then we made our own record. We borrowed 15,000 from some guy named Fred. And then we went and made we made Shot in the Dark. And we had a song called Face the Day, and that became the #2 song on on a big label also. I mean, a big radio station called KLOS in Los Angeles. #2 song of the year. So Niven knew a guy from Capitol called Ray Tuscan, who was an A&R man. He came and saw us in San Juan Capistrano, California, at a place called the Coach House, and signed us that night. The ironic thing is Capitol Records was the father company of the label that dropped us, EMI America. They were just a little poopy label. They were major label, but Capitol were the big guys. So the guys that kicked us off their label, now the father company signed us. So it's really freaky stuff. So we got our second chance, and they put their stamp on our independent, our Shot in the Dark album. And then we had to go in the studio.
Can I backtrack a minute to the first album? I found it really kind of weird in a good way. Because Dean, you brought up Pete Townsend. On that first album, you did a Pete Townsend cover, Substitute.
Yeah, we sure did. We did that. We actually did the video in England. And it was awesome to do that because all the people that acted in that video were just people around town. You know what I mean? Like this one guy, these feathers and fingernails, like 10 inches long. And they got him out of a record store. They said, hey, we want you to be in a video. And he said, darling, I'm available for the whole day, but I'm very expensive. So anyways, that guy got in. We had a punker that was slamming walls and putting holes in walls and stuff. and we did the song Substitute. Well, we wanted to change some of the lyrics, so we had to ask permission from Pete Townsend, and he didn't want to do it. He didn't want us to change it. You know, like plastic Mac and all this stuff. Nobody knows what it means. And we changed it to Satan crap. And he didn't like that. But we go, what happened to the guy that, you know, wanted to die, was going to die before he got old and all that? So he goes, he came back and said, if you feel that strongly about it, go ahead and change it. You know,
wow,
it was crazy. It was pretty cool of him, you know, to let us do that. And we did a pretty cool video. This was after we put out Stick It, which was the other song we that played at like 4:30 in the morning on MTV.
Well, and real quick, you mentioned Michael Wagner, right? As Wagner as a producer, who, you know, obviously with Don and Klaus of Scorpions. Then he got to work with Jack. So did he really help bring Jack up vocally? With working with some of the
I would say that Michael Wagner helped with Jack singing heavier, you know.
Heavier.
What, you know, because we were actually, our first album had nothing to do with my influences. All my influences were like Carlos Santana, Johnny Winter, you know, people like that, you know, Alvin Lee. So I was more of a blues man.
Right.
But we were trying to be heavy. We were trying to be like Judas Priest. You know, we thought that was the way to go. I mean, we're young kids, you know, we don't know. So,
harder and faster.
But Michael Wagner loved it. Go ahead.
I said harder and faster. That's how teenagers like it. That's why you like Judas
Absolutely.
Priest.
You know, the guy that played the fastest leads was the best. And, you know, that's it. It's just teenage thinking, you know. But,
right.
But what happened was I used to play, like I'm in between songs while we're recording, I'm playing I'm Going Home by 10 Years After. And Niven started to go, something clicked in his head and he goes, you should be doing that, you know? And then, so the second album, we're trying to kind of find ourselves. I kind of get a little bit of blues in there, but
give me some ovens on there from Spencer Davis, man.
Yeah. When we did the Once Bitten album that had Rock Me and all that.
I love that.
Before that, Niven just said, play from the heart, from your influences, do whatever you want, be free, just do what you do. Don't try to be like anything. And sure enough, we became honest with ourselves and sold millions of records, you know, so I guess there's something to say about that, you know. Well, but I was real comfortable with more blues, you know. I like the blues rock.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was gonna state that when I think about all the bands that were coming out in that era as we were moving into the hair rock concept, Great White's probably the only band I can think of that still was able to really demonstrate that blues connection while also bringing in that harder rock sound. And you as a guitarist, you know, Great White had a very distinct sound, both with Jack's vocals, but your guitar is very distinct in itself. It stands out among everybody else. What's that?
Rock Me. Oh, Rock Me. Yes.
So tell me about your sound and how you came to that.
Well, for one thing, when I was just a young boy, my parents were musicians. My dad was a jazz trumpet player. My mom was a singer. So, I mean, when I was 5 years old, I was listening to the records. I remember The Girl from Ipanema.
Oh, and
yeah. When I heard it, it made me feel good. I go, I wonder if I play it again, it'll make me feel good again. You know what I mean? So I kept playing it over and over. And then after a while, I'm singing with it. So from that, when I listened to records, like my first records at 9, my dad got me Cream, Jimi Hendrix, and The Doors. And, you know, even though all those guitar players were legends, I was listening to their albums like I did with my parents' stuff. I was listening to the singers and the song. So I was all about the song. And my approach to guitar was, okay, these singers get to sing all these beautiful melodies. So why can't I put that on my guitar so people remember what I do? You know, instead of just being flashy and doing all this stuff that you're going to forget in 2 minutes. So that was really my thinking was if I play a lick and the guy goes, I can't get it out of my head or something, you know what I mean? So that's just the way I play. And, you know, I don't know that my peers really think that much of it, but the fans like it. And that's really who you play for, right? They're the ones who buy the records and dig the tunes.
I love it.
So,
I love, and I'm going to let Tina, I just want to say this about Rock Me, and then Tina, I'm sure has something to say about it. But the thing about Rock Me that hit me, you know, you talk about the blues, that's like that harmonica piece in throughout.
Yeah.
is just, it just gives you goosebumps with Jack's voice, and then your guitar playing in there, the layering underneath. And the first time I ever heard that song, and why it's special, is I was a Jersey kid, but I came down to Tampa on vacation, and there was a station down here called YNF, famous for having the upside down logo that's seen in like the Cinderella Shake Me video. But the thing is that they played, that was the first song I ever heard on that station, was Rock Me. And I remember going, I got my cassette out, my blank cassette, and like, they're going to play this again. I waited for them to play Rock Me again. And I went, this song is just blew my mind how great it was. It's sexy, it's bluesy, it has all these things in it.
You know, it's a funny thing because, you know, when the record company came down and they were in the control room and we're cranking the stuff, because when I'm recording, I'm kind of have tunnel vision. I'm just thinking about my parts and, you know, things are getting assembled. But I really didn't know what I'd done or what we'd done until after I heard it all mixed and done in the studio with the record company in there. I really thought it was pretty good, you know. And the only thing I was afraid of, since we never had a hit before, was the song was 7 minutes. And, you know, it's not like we're, you know, somebody that's had, you know, like Phil Collins or something that's had 80 hits, you know. But anyways, Evan did a funny thing, our manager. He said that every song he put 3 minutes and 59 seconds on every single song on the record, right? So when they sent the single to the radio stations, it said 3:59. So they don't even know it's 7 minutes. I suppose the time they figured it out, the phones are lighting up, so it's like too late. But I think the reason that worked. Yeah, I know. He did it for a joke, actually. It wasn't to try to cheat anybody. But here's what happened. The reason the song worked, you don't realize it's that long because of all the dynamics. It wasn't like flatlining all the way through, get me? So had it been flatlining, it would have never worked. But, you know, we'll be way up here and all of a sudden we shoot it way down here, you know. So it kind of sucks you in and moves you around. And I think that's why it worked.
Yeah.
But MTV wouldn't have it. MTV, they wouldn't even let Madonna have a 7-minute song. So we had to edit it and it wasn't working. So we had to re-record it for the MTV video to make it 5 minutes. It wasn't easy, but one good thing is they didn't take my solos out, because that's usually what they do when they edit a song. There goes the solo.
There goes the solo.
Yeah.
Guitar player suffers.
I've referenced that song on air alongside with like Prince's Purple Rain, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. It's just that kind of guitar solo that it's just fun. Just let it go. Let's just let it go on forever.
The Guitar Gently Weeps, that really feels kind of my style a little bit, that you mentioned that, you know how when things are just sweet, you know. I remember when I was about 14, I think it was, I saw that Woodstock concert. I think I was 14. I don't remember, but I just remember seeing Carlos Santana. And that was kind of the first guy that rocked my boat. I was like, he squeezed a note and he's like sweating bullets. And he looked like he was holding this note for his life or something, you know. Just it made me want to improve right when I seen that. I'm going, how can someone have that much feel, or, you know, be so into it and have so much passion over this one note? It's just like ridiculous. And so I swear that's what made me, I wanted to be like that. I wanted to play with that kind of heart and whatever, you know. Those are, you know, that's what my influences for me were guys that seemed like they were just engulfed in feel, you know, and you know, that's what kind of made me. And like I said, when I was a kid listening to my parents' records, when I heard Elvis Presley, I didn't hear the band. I'm just hearing this voice. I'm going, God, I never heard anything like this guy. This is, I was all about it, man. I'm singing Teddy Bear. And, you wouldn't figure that, but yeah.
Did you have a question?
I was 16 years old and I just got my license. Literally just got my license. And your concert was the first concert I ever drove to in my own car. It was at Fort Wayne Coliseum. As a matter of fact, it was in September 24th or 29th of 1989. And I was in love with your band. And I went there specifically. I mean, I liked all the songs, but specifically I went there because I wanted to hear Angel Song live.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't play it.
Oh, we didn't? I'm sorry.
No.
We play it now. We play it every show almost.
I know. Yes, there's more. Of course, I see you all the time, but there's more. So, but that was the first show that I realized that I wanted to be in the rock and roll world. I'd always loved music, obviously, but I went to your show, and when I saw everything that was going on, I literally went like 2 days later back to the Coliseum and applied to work basically however I could. And I ended up being a backstage security person for the next 2 years at the
Haha,
Coliseum.
cool.
Yeah.
That's an awesome
So
story, man.
it was your show that did that.
Thank you.
You know,
That's awesome, man. That's a great story. I love
Going
it.
back to
I love to hear the fans. You know, we've always been very close with our fans. Like, we don't leave until all pictures are taken, everything's signed, and hear the stories. That's my favorite thing, is to hear.
Yeah, I saw
you know,
you
'cause
last year too. Just as, I mean, so you've got a new young singer. He's amazing. And I had like,
Yeah.
of course, I'm much older than I was back then, right? But I had like proud mom feels going on. He did so well. And I had just seen Jack Russell probably 4 or 5 months earlier down in Indianapolis. You know, and he was a little weak and frail, but still a good show.
Yeah.
I think they were playing with Winger and so on and so forth. I'm seeing this young
Yeah.
man, and you guys, your show was fantastic. I was in love with it. I've got video. I'm like, this is so
Badass.
great.
Okay, cool, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's fantastic. You guys are doing great.
What's
Thank you.
so real quick, I do want to go back when we were talking about the feel. I'd read an interview with David Gilmour some time back, and it was fascinating because even he talked about when he was younger, he felt like the need to have to play really fast. That it's all about how many notes can you cram into a single second. And then for him, it was
Right,
Hank Marvin.
right.
Watching Hank Marvin play, they said that changed him to realize it's not about how many notes you can cram into a second, but how many seconds you can, hold that note and emote that feelings. So it's always an interesting transition. Early guitarists, I guess we just feel the need to, get blistering fast. And even around the mid 80s is when I went through that transition, going from, trying to be like, George Lynch and, Vivian Campbell, and trying to do all that complicated stuff, to realizing it's not about that. It's fun to do, but it's not about that. Your pedal board,
Right.
have you moved to the fractals and the digital, or are you still pretty analog on your setup?
It's digital for the live shows, but in the studio I use, Fender basement heads and different stuff. But for the live shows, since they're fly dates, I've just been using the Kemper, but I download a lot, like a Vox amp and a lot of different amps. It's pretty consistent. It's real good for live. But when you're flying, it's different than when you're out with trucks and 18-wheelers and, wheeling in. We used to have our drums already set up on this big cart and wheel it into the arenas. We had all our amps in carts. So it was a different world back then. So since it's fly dates, I found this. Actually, Michael Wagner, we did our last album with him, 2017. He turned me on to the Kemper. And I wasn't about it at all. I go, dude, I need speakers blowing, and he goes, well, just try it. And so I plug into it, takes 2 seconds. I start play a couple chords. I go, I sound like Angus Young, man. What else you got in that thing? I go, man, this is incredible, dude. I couldn't believe it, man. Because I'm thinking like line 6, real buzzy sound, and not even sound remotely analog, but it sounded great. So I'm able to use that live. It's pretty good. Pretty simple pedal board. Just got a clean sound, but I use my I'm what's known as a roll-off player. Like, I feel how low I should go on my guitar. I play with my fingers sometimes. Just depending on where I'm at in the song. So I don't like to be confined to a certain volume. I like to be able to do it myself and not like, it might sound different to me. So I might be a little bit louder, so that volume knob on my guitar is like, it's like everything to me. It sounds very simple, but I keep things pretty stupid simple.
Does the Kemper, does it respond to your volume knob the same way that a tube would?
Yeah.
Have that?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Pretty much.
Cool.
Pretty much. It sounds about as close to analog. Although when I played through my Fender basement head, which is a pre-CBS, is like 1962 or something, you get the distortion by pushing the tubes, but it doesn't get that obnoxious volume. So I turn it about 7, and it makes the tubes, saturates that natural distortion, like Trace Almbrace or something, it's easy to real true. Yeah. But I got another one that was newer, and it was too loud. You got to use pedals and stuff when they're too loud like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that tube saturation. It's addictive.
Yeah, that's the real sound. It's funny because comparing digital to analog with just music itself, we're kind of tricked into thinking CDs were better because they're clearer. It was almost like they carved out some of the warmth, and you're brainwashed and think, oh yeah, this is way clearer, so much better. But I was at my drummer probably 8 months ago, and he has a turntable with a badass stereo and everything. He plays records in his house. He was playing Foreigner 4, and I about lost it. I totally forgot this sound. This is great. I can't believe it.
I probably went 10 to 15 years, honestly, with never playing any vinyl. And my daughter bought The Wall, which I always listen to The Wall, and she brought it home on vinyl. She put it on. It was like finding religion all over again. It knocked me back. It's like, oh my God, it is different.
It has all the punch, just like we do with CDs, but there's some warmth in there that you're kind of missing with the CDs.
Yeah.
And MP3s, forget it. That's what you're hearing on YouTube and all that, MP3s. Sometimes my guitar's in the wrong, like you can't hear it. And it's not like that on the record. It's on the wrong side, or I don't know what the hell is going on there. But
have you been starting to put out Atmos? Have you been remixing an Atmos?
I haven't done that yet, but I know about it. Is that where you can actually isolate a voice and it's not even multi-track?
It is so crazy. I heard my first Atmos mix this past year, and to say it's like surround sound is really underselling it. It's the height. It's speechless. I became addicted immediately. Started going out there and trying to buy Beatles albums and anything I can find in it. So Great White's music would be awesome at Atmos.
That's cool. I think I'm talking about something different. Somebody told me that there's a program, even though you don't have the multi-track, you can isolate an instrument. And I've heard this all over. I've heard Eddie Van Halen playing "I'm the One" by himself. John Paul Jones playing "Ramble On" just by him, just the bass. It's so insane that he's so good, man. It's crazy to hear it isolated like that.
Yeah, yeah. Check out Atmos. Sometime you guys should release it in Atmos. Yeah, it's the next evolution of Dolby, and it's crazy
for sure. Okay,
doubled it. Tina, that you brought up Angel's Song, and you love that song, right? What I love about that song, we had when we had Bill Leverty on from Firehouse, and we asked him, like, what is a song that it becomes its own song with the guitars, like it just sings to you. And Angel's Song, your guitar in that is very much like what he said about Neil Schon with Who's Crying Now, and the way Neil holds that out at the end with those beautiful layering and the way he lets it the notes ride. Angel's Song is that with you. You have this beautiful way of just, like you were talking about Santana, and I think it was just fitting with this conversation that Angel's Song is a special song, especially in the solo. Yeah. And I can see why you have it in your set, because you get all this emotion. Tina, is that how you felt when you would listen to Angel's Song when you get to that solo?
Yeah, and I mean, I know it's kind
absolutely.
of like, it's like almost like a negative song about LA and life in Los Angeles, but it also at the same time made me fall in love with LA, because at this point in my life I'd never been there, and it brought LA to the front of my whole, and I'm an LA girl now, but that was kind of the first song that was like, wow, there's something there that I'd like to touch and see, and I saw that through that song, which is odd because if you listen to the lyrics, it's kind of like, hey, this isn't a great place, but to me it just made me wonder. So there's so much about it, and I love the keyboards, and because I'm a piano player, I fell in love with that song.
That's really amazing that you got it that good, because that's what the song's about. It's about, girls, teenagers coming to Hollywood thinking, it's all glitter and glam and they're going to be big stars, and then they end up on the street and dead broke and don't know what to do. So we actually donated all the proceeds from that song to Runaways.
That's fantastic.
It was the Dio Foundation had a deal, and so we helped build shelters so when somebody gets it on the street, don't know what to do, they can go to these places and call home or get help. So we donated all the proceeds so it would go toward that, and we got to go to the Playboy Mansion.
That's fantastic.
because you've done that, you know. But
Yeah.
so, but yeah. So this song had meaning, and I'm really impressed that you got it that good, you know.
Oh
You knew
yeah.
exactly
Well, and like I
what
said,
you're
I only
looking at.
100,000 times, but I mean, the song that I really, associated with that, and I still do to this very day, that you guys wrote is "She Only." That's
It's
me.
funny,
That's a lot of women, I think.
it's funny doing videos back then compared to today with the equipment, how quick everything is. It's the same as recording. Like instead of cutting up tape for an edit, you push a mouse. Uh, you know, and we didn't use drones. We were using helicopters for aerial shots.
Oh
Around
yeah.
buildings in LA. They had, and then if you don't get it right, you got to wait like 2 hours for this guy to come around again. And the setup took forever. They got railroad tracks and these big cameras. Giant. Now they're this big. And everything just goes quick, quick, quick. That's why the industry suffers, because all the mediums are taken away. The record stores, the MTV, and the technology kind of missed, because we no longer need $1 million advance, to do our tour and our album. So, I can go record it at my friend's bedroom and it's going to be killer. No, I'm just exaggerating, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
So it was hard for the major labels to survive. They started merging into the same building. It's like I did a project called Train Station. I just wanted to see what it sounded like. If I'm not in Great White, just go jam with other people and make music. And so I went to Geffen. This A&R guy started flipping out and telling me how great we are. But then Tom Wally, who I knew from Capitol, he goes, "Mark, this is the wrong label for this stuff, man. You got to go to Atlantic." And I was shot down, broke my heart. But it was just amazing. We called down there, instead of saying, Geffen, they'd say, Geffen, A&M, Atlantic, Capitol. It's like they're all in the same building. It's like crazy.
Who's in the Capitol building now? Who's in the Capitol?
I think it's apartments. I think it's apartments or something. Somebody told me that. Yeah.
So
maybe they have one floor or something that's still at Capitol or whatever.
Wow.
But yeah, it's tough. But we still get our music to the people. We just got to hire like internet assassins, and even in our heyday, I wasn't even thinking dollars and cents. I was thinking what people would think of this music. I used to take it to my friends. Because when you're done, you got to wait 3 months or even 4 months sometimes before it's released. So you don't know if people are going to hate it, love it, or what, just because you think it might be pretty cool. They don't have to think that. So I used to go to my friends. I go, I don't care if you say you hate it, just tell me something, just so I kind of get a little bit of a idea, what normal folks are going to say. Right. So I'm like that today, just like, maybe other things are different, but that hasn't changed for me. And we're still old school. We always jam together when we're making records. We don't send each other emails to tell you how it goes.
What's your favorite Great White song?
Geez. Okay, we got 13 albums. Let me think.
Let's just narrow it down.
What's your favorite kid of 13 albums?
I got to come with it quick, huh? I still like all the big songs. I like playing Rock Me Live. It's a different audience. I still get a little nervous before I go on. Not nervous like coffee flying out my nose and I'm like a nervous wreck or something. But I feel the adrenaline. When the lights go down, and then once I'm past the first song, I feel pretty good. Yeah,
that's good though. That means that means the spark is still there. The love is still there. Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
You still sound just as good as you did in 1989. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I think I'm playing pretty good. I might even be playing a little better than I do. I was quite the beer drinker, and when you're partying like every night, it starts. You can feel it. Your body starts to feel it. Yeah, I remember we were on tour with Judas Priest. And I'm a pool player. And so I was playing Glenn Tipton. And this is on a show, like we have a show the next day, right? We probably drank about 17 pitchers of beer. We're like played for like 10 hours. It's like 9 in the morning, and so we better go get some sleep. We got a show, you know. So I'm feeling like hell, and he's about 12 years older than me. So I want to know how he's feeling today, because I'm not feeling too good. And so we got off stage, and I see Glenn. I'm walking to the hallway to my dressing room. Glenn walks by and goes, "Mark, I don't feel well." Yes. You know, I'm like, good. Because I feel like shit too. But,
So
you know, you play better when you're sober.
So tell me about your guitar choice. Are you a single coil guy at heart, or a humbucker? Do you like a small radius neck, big?
I have single coil, but it's called a hot stack, which is like a humbucker, but they're stacked on top of each other. And my goal has always been, I want the notes as loud as possible, but still not lose my sound. And if I have too much distortion coming from the pickup, the notes aren't loud enough. But if I roll off distortion, then I don't have the sound I need. You know what I mean? So that's always been my goal. And I found the lower output I go on the pickups, like down to like 8K or so. You know, I used to have, if the distortion coming from your guitar, then it's just a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So when I'm full volume on my guitar, I have, you know, my cool rock thing going. But when I turn it down, it's like an acoustic. That's what I kind of always shop for that. So yeah, you just learn over the years. You keep trying to find it. That's it. You hear people that have been playing 30 years and they're still trying to find. Bill, I went to this real quick. I didn't mean to cut you up, but I went to this music store called Bizarre Guitar in Reno, and they had a vault down there with all this old gear, you know, old Fender amps, old guitars, you know. There's probably $10 million worth of gear down there. And they had old pedals, old ones that I used to have, like Small Stones and all these pedals. The guy tells me Gibbons was down there. He's like well into his 60s. He's down there for 4 hours just checking pedals out. Like he's still trying to find it, get me?
Trying to find
and that's so inspiring to hear that for me. I mean, you don't have your sound yet? You know, that's what I'm thinking. It's funny. I'd love to hear that.
This little thing right here, like I owned so many amps in my life because I felt like I was always trying to chase a tone. And then I bought one of these guitar amp kits. And it started off just your basic champ, but experimenting with different caps and configurations. And what I learned through that was the tone stack is what was driving me mad all the years, having all these, you know, tone knobs. And once I stripped out all the tone knobs and just used my guitar and pedals, I was happy. It was the greatest discovery for me. So now
I know Eddie.
Oh, go on.
I know Eddie did that, but I did it by accident. I was at a gig and I'm playing. I got to play my main guitar. You know, I don't want to all of a sudden just grab another one to, you know, just for most of the set. My tone was, something was wrong with it. It kept going. I had a regular sound, but then it got muffly. And so my guitar tech had to take my pickguard off, do all this stuff, and he disconnected it, and it was just going to the volume knob. He had to do it. And I'm thinking this is just going to be temporary. It sounded amazing, just like you said.
Open it up.
Yeah.
So your hot stacks, they give you all the dynamics that you're happy with?
Yeah. Yeah.
What brand is that? Yeah. Is that like a Seymour Duncan or?
Yeah, Seymour Duncan. Just a hot stack.
To check that out.
It's totally fine. Like I said, I roll off the volume and play with my fingers, depending on where the song is, you know, just to get a different sound that a pick gives you. Like I remember years ago when I was getting pretty good on guitar, I was playing Johnny Winter licks, like note for note perfect, right? And I couldn't understand, it didn't sound like him. I couldn't figure out. And then when I met him, you know, I met him on a show. We had a tour manager that tour managed him for 5 years. So I got to meet and speak with him. And I realized that he started out on ukulele. And when he made the transition to guitar, he kept the thumb pick and the finger picks. So every time he hits a string, it's in the same direction. So it gives it this like machine effect. And I'm using a pick, playing his stuff, going that up and down sound like that. He's going the same direction. That's why it sounded different. I figured it out. We were going to have him play on a record. We had we needed a slide solo. So we asked him if he'd do it. But we already had the song recorded. We just wanted to come do the overdub. He wouldn't do it. He goes, if we all jam together, I'll do it. Because he said, Edgar always tried to get me to do those overdubs, because he records live, singing, playing guitar, doing the solo and everything. He just, even studio albums, he just does it like that. On Still Alive and Well, Rick Derringer did all the extra rhythms and stuff as an overdub, but Johnny just plays and sings. He won't overdub. He goes, Edgar always tries to get me to do them overdubs. I do 40 takes and they take the first one every time. so I totally appreciated his reasoning for not doing it.
Oh, that's cool. I might be using that
I'd
story.
like to do with you here, Mark. There was a song on the Blue EP that I absolutely love. And if you don't mind, can I play a little bit of it for us here?
Sure.
I love this song. I think it's this should have been everywhere. It's one of the most beautiful songs that you've done. And I want everybody to hear it here. So let me see.
Don't seem to understand. Just for the social world, you play the party girl. Now you drink your wine, oh baby, time to forget. Thought I knew you every way. Saw the child, the woman, as plain as day. I thought I knew myself, but now I come to find love is blind. I'm a loving kind. You made a game of.
That is just a beautiful song, man.
The tone.
Yeah. I used
Oh
a Firebird Gibson on that. It really had a sweet sound.
Oh God.
Love the tone.
It
I
was
had to
real-
share it.
I don't know what kind of pickup was on that. I never really looked into it. I just played it and I go, man, this is a really clean bitchin' sound. It wasn't
amp?
too trebly. It was really nice. What I used, I think I used my Fender, a Fender Bassman.
Nice.
212s, the 212s. It has a stand, that deal. Plus,
Well,
yeah.
and it goes with what you said earlier, Tina, about keyboard or piano. Like that made that song so beautiful, adding that piano in there. Like a lot of rock
Yeah.
ballads, they would leave the piano out, or that.
Sure.
Oh, and with Jack's vocal,
Clean
it
guitar.
was just a gorgeous song.
Yeah, Jack, man, what a voice. One of the greatest voices.
Do you have
anything? That's what's amazing.
Do you have a goosebump memory you remember of either being in the studio together or when a song idea germinated and you went, "Oh, this is going to be a big one"? Do you remember a memory like that? Like you knew this song was going to be special.
In a very early, when we first met, I brought him some ideas and there was some kind of magic moments there. Plus we were like, we always pretended to be up and playing the forum, and it was like we had this thing, and it's funny because almost everything we dreamed of came to us. They have this thing called law of attraction. Which, I don't want to sit here telling ghost stories or something, but it was funny how we pretended to play the forum, then we played there, so that was a dream.
Manifest.
And they're handing platinum records to us on stage, and my mom and dad are there.
If you can dream, you can do it.
So there was a lot of moments like that, where we were just bowled over by what was happening, and a lot of good things, a lot of magic moments. Jack and I were connected at the hip.
Do you have musicians today? I mean, you got to experience rock in a region at a really special time that I don't think will ever happen again.
Right. The music, I think, when it does swim away for a while, when it comes back, it seems fresh again. That's why they've been saying rock is dead. How many times? I don't know.
And you get that Kid Youngblood out there.
Oh, I don't think rock is dead. I think mainstream isn't going to put the focus on rock, but rock.
Well, when something comes through like new wave, or there's different music. The '90s kind of did something there, which I really liked. I happened to, when I see Nirvana, most people, oh God, it's killing our genre and all that. But when I saw those guys out there, like they didn't care, and they had all these beautiful melodies in their song, the guitars are real jangly, you know, these hanging almost down to the floor. And, you know, they're just wearing these clothes that, you know, we wear, you know, every day. I don't know, there's something about that. I go, this is refreshing, even though it kills me. It's going to kill me. Like I remember Alice in Chains. I really liked them a lot because their music was very tasty, but it had this like dark edge to it.
Yeah.
And their harmonies were like these minor harmonies, but they're pretty, you know, in a way.
Yeah.
And I really liked some of the music, but I think what happened, the reason we kind of came back a little bit was the lyrics are so negative and talking about how screwed up the world is and stuff.
Yeah.
So we were all about let's party down, you know, forget about your bills for a couple hours and let's get laid and shit, you know, which isn't the most intellectual, you know, but that's the way we rolled, you know. So
Well, it's escapism.
I don't know. I think it's fun.
You escape grunge. Yeah, it became too negative. I suck, you suck, everybody sucks. You can only take
Everybody
that
sucks,
so
you know, politics and all this kind of stuff. We're just talking about keeping it a little more simple. But I mean, we had some lyrics that were, you know, just not about sex or whatever. I remember that first single though, On Your Knees, when you know, when they did the PMRC and Tipper Gore and
Tipper Gore. Yeah.
This guy, well, we're sitting there watching this because we knew about it was coming on, and this guy's reading our lyrics like, and he took her ass to the floor, and you know, we're sitting there pumping our fists. Oh my God, we're famous. You know, like we thought it was the greatest thing on earth to be getting that attention, even though they're trying to make it into like we're Satan or something. You know, that was amazing.
Mark, one of the big reasons that we wanted you is, you know, your music through the years and your guitar playing stands out. You know, we had Tony on.
Tony Montana.
Yeah,
He's awesome.
Yeah,
Great
Dean
guy.
actually got to go out and see him play in California.
Oh, good.
And
Yeah, you know, with Tony, what happened? He played on 2 records, and we were going to do. He used to get Les Pauls on the road. I mean, this guy was a full-blown 100% guitar player playing bass. You know, and he didn't seem like he was into it. So I go, you know, we're just like, I go, Tony, I'll be in the front row watching you play your guitar. Go with your heart, man. Just go play guitar. We'll get a bass player. It's not a big deal. And that's kind of how that worked, because he really acted like he didn't like bass, and I don't blame him. I don't like to play bass. I have to play it sometimes when I make my demos, but it's a damn nightmare. Bass players are their own people. They don't think like we do. You know, they're thinking about what the kick drum's doing. I don't do that. I just like, you know, I'm playing guitar. And Tony's a guitar player right from the heart. And I really like Tony. He also sings very good too.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, yeah.
So I was happy for him that he went off and, you know, his ventures. And I actually heard a few of his tunes. He did a solo album. And man, he had a couple of tunes that were killer.
So, Mark, if you had to put together, this is as we're closing out here, like living or have left us, musicians you would have loved to have played with, like starting with like you've already played with Jack, but a vocalist, a bass player, and a drummer. If you had put like an ideal super group together, what would that look like with you?
If it was a 2 guitar, well,
yeah, you could have 2 guitars.
A couple of them I'm thinking of aren't dead, but I would
living or
if
dead,
it was if it was 2 guitar band, it would have to be either Mick Ronson or Stevie Ray Vaughan. It's very close right there. Stevie Ray Vaughan, I actually met him once, and Mick Ronson on the same day, because we played at Charlie Daniels' annual benefit jam in Nashville, and both of them were there. Stevie Ray Vaughan, it was funny. He kept telling me how tall I was, and I'm not that tall. I'm like 6'2.5", or he's just not very tall. And he goes, "Damn, you're tall, so tall." And so he signed. I had him sign this poster for me, and I even got it laminated. He said, "Keep standing tall." You know, that was really cool. As far as
Real
bass
quick,
players,
we talked to Terry McBride, and he shared with us his story about the first time he met Stevie. He said they're at the airport, and this guy's walking towards him. He's got this big cane, the whatever you call the hat, and he's like,
yeah,
that's either a pimp walking towards me or Stevie Ray Vaughan.
that's funny. Yeah, he was so soft spoken, very much felt his playing. I mean, he was, you can tell what way he plays, he's feeling that big time. It's almost like a religious experience with that guy. They're a very, very special guy. Drummers, God, there's so many darn good drummers. One guy I liked was I think his name was Jerry Shirley. He played with Humble Pie. I can't imagine that guy. And the bass player would have to be Randy Joe Hobbs that played with Johnny Winter. It's the only guy. And I actually got to, I'm always curious because I had this album called Still Alive and Well, and the bass was insane. You could hear every note on the record, and that never happens when you hear a record. That I go, so I couldn't wait to ask Rick Derringer how he got that. What'd you do? And I was in Oregon. We had played a festival, and Rick was going to play the following night, and I saw him in the lobby. He was pushing a cart with all his guitars on it. I mean, back in the day, I'm sure he had a guy to do that. But so I introduced myself, and I said, man, I'm such a big fan. And I go, one thing that you've done away from guitar is you produced that Johnny Winter album, Still Alive and Well. And can I ask you a question? And he's like, yeah, no problem. What? I go, how'd you get that bass sound? I just can't believe how great that guy is playing wise, but the sound. And he said he just motioned to pushing a fader up, like in the studio. Like he just went like that. And I go, that's it, huh? And he goes, Randy sounded like that on every record he ever played on. And man, does that guy have a style and a kind of a growl, a little bit of growl. Not like as much as like Lemmy from Motorhead, but a little bit of a growl to his song. And because Lemmy played through Marshalls. But so if I had that guy, Jerry Shirley, and either Mick Ronson and then a singer, God, oh man, this is becoming a pretty good band here. I would definitely be the weak link in this band. I'll play rhythm. Who would be the singer? I'm trying to think of one that would. It would take me a while. I'm not sure.
Well,
one thing I always liked is I like Jimi Hendrix the way he sang. People talk about his guitar, but man, he had a limited range, but the way he delivered the songs were so believable. Like he really believed what he was singing. I used to sing along.
On SiriusXM's Deep Tracks, we play a lot of his demo tracks. And to be honest, I think I like the demo tracks better than the ones that were released because there's almost like this shyness, this humility in his singing when he's just kind of singing on the side. There's a tenderness that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
They raced on our first album. They raced and put the demo version of Street Killer on the radio. It was totally better. It was better than the album. And I think the reason is by the time we recorded the album, we'd already played that song like 80 times live. So there was an energy that was there because it was a fresh, pretty new song. And I played exactly like I did, but there's something about, the way the song vibrated on that demo at a frequency that wasn't on the record, but there's no way to explain it because I played with the same energy. I played it just like I did, but it didn't have that. So when I come up with an idea, and when we've always got our phones with us, that memo recorder, if I come up with an idea in my head and I put it on my guitar, I record it right then. So at least I can get back to it. Because if I record it and wait until tomorrow, I might not forget it, but it's not going to have the same rhythmical quality. It's not going to be, have the energy that it had when I was excited. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I have it there, I can get back to it.
Yeah, I understand that.
Again.